The classroom was silent. Not the peaceful kind of silence, but the heavy one, the kind that sits in your chest and makes it hard to breathe. A boy stood at the front, chalk in hand. Behind him, a complex equation stretched across the board, and behind that, a room full of eyes, waiting for him to fail. It was just another Monday morning at Westbridge University. Students shuffled into their seats, half awake, some whispering, some scrolling through their phones. The air smelled faintly of coffee and dry markers. It was advanced mathematics, one of the toughest classes on campus. And then there was Jamal. He always sat in the last row, near the window, quiet, observant, never causing trouble but never really noticed either. Some students assumed he struggled, others didn't think much about him at all. But Jamal noticed everything. The way the professor explained theories, the way numbers moved like patterns instead of problems, the way silence often said more than words. That morning, Professor Harris walked in with his usual confident stride. He was known for being brilliant, but also intimidating. "All right," he said, placing his books down. "Let's see if anyone here actually studied over the weekend." A few nervous laughs echoed. Then his eyes scanned the room and stopped. "Jamal," he said. The room shifted. A few heads turned. Jamal looked up, slightly surprised. "Yes, sir?" Professor Harris adjusted his glasses. "You've been very quiet in this class. Either that means you understand everything, or nothing at all." Some students chuckled. Jamal didn't respond. He just nodded politely. "Well," the professor continued, picking up a piece of chalk. "Let's test that." He turned to the board and began writing. Symbols, numbers, functions, layer upon layer. The equation stretched wider, more complex with each passing second. The students stared, confused. One whispered, "Is that even from our syllabus?" Another muttered, "No way anyone can solve that." Professor Harris stepped back, admiring his work. "This," he said, "is a problem that even some graduates struggle with." Then he turned back to Jamal. "Come solve it." The room went completely still. Jamal hesitated for a moment, not out of fear, but out of awareness. He could feel the weight of the moment. He walked slowly to the front. Each step echoed louder than it should have. As he reached the board, someone in the back whispered, "This is going to be embarrassing." Jamal picked up the chalk. His hand was steady. Behind him, Professor Harris crossed his arms. "Take your time," he said, almost amused. Seconds passed. Then something changed. Jamal's eyes moved across the equation, not as if he was reading it, but as if he already knew it. He started writing, step by step, line by line. At first, the class didn't react. Then a few students leaned forward. "Wait," one whispered. "That's correct." The room slowly shifted from doubt to confusion. Jamal continued. He didn't rush. He didn't hesitate. Every move was calm, precise, almost effortless. Professor Harris uncrossed his arms. His expression changed. The smirk faded.
Minutes passed. And then Jamal stopped. He stepped back and placed the chalk down. The entire equation was solved. Perfectly. Silence. No whispers. No laughter. Just silence. Professor Harris walked closer to the board. He examined each step carefully. Once. Then again. He looked at Jamal. "For how long have you known this?" he asked quietly. Jamal shrugged gently. "I've always liked math, sir." The professor blinked, almost caught off guard. "Liked it?" Jamal nodded. "It makes sense to me." There was no arrogance in his voice, no pride, just honesty. A student in the front row whispered, "That was impossible." Jamal heard it. He turned slightly and said, "Nothing is impossible. Sometimes it just takes patience." The words weren't meant to impress anyone, but they stayed. Professor Harris stepped back. For the first time, he didn't have anything to say. Class ended early that day. Students walked out, still processing what they had just witnessed. Some looked at Jamal differently now. Others avoided eye contact. But one thing had changed. They saw him. The next day, Jamal walked into class like always. Same seat, same quiet presence. But this time, it wasn't the same. Professor Harris entered, slower than usual. He placed his books down and paused. "Before we begin," he said, "I owe someone an apology." The room fell silent. He turned to Jamal. "I assumed your silence meant a lack of understanding," he said. "But yesterday, you showed me that sometimes the quietest person in the room understands the most." Jamal looked up, surprised. Professor Harris continued, "I gave you that problem to challenge you, but also to test my own assumptions. And I was wrong." A soft stillness filled the room. "I'm sorry," he said. Jamal smiled gently. "It's okay, sir." And he meant it. Weeks passed. Something beautiful began to happen. Students who once ignored Jamal started sitting near him. "Hey, can you explain this part?" one asked. Jamal would nod and say, "Sure." No judgment, no pride, just kindness. He didn't just solve problems. He helped others understand them. Even Professor Harris began involving him in discussions. "Jamal, what do you think?" he'd ask. And Jamal would share, simply, clearly, patiently. One afternoon, after class, the professor stopped him. "Have you ever considered pursuing mathematics seriously?" he asked. Jamal smiled. "I already am." The professor chuckled softly. "No, I mean, beyond this. Research, teaching, maybe even changing the field." Jamal paused. "Honestly," he said, "I just want to help people see that they're capable, even when they think they're not." The professor looked at him for a long moment. "That," he said, "is what truly changes the world." Months later, Jamal stood at the same board again. But this time, it was different. He wasn't being tested. He was teaching. A group of younger students listened as he explained a concept. One of them raised their hand nervously. "What if I don't get it?" Jamal smiled. "Then we try again," he said. "And again, until it makes sense." The student nodded, and something inside them shifted. Confidence, hope, belief. From the back of the room, Professor Harris watched quietly, not as a teacher judging a student, but as someone witnessing growth, not just in knowledge, but in kindness. Because sometimes, the greatest lessons aren't written on a board. They're lived. In patience, in humility, in the courage to see beyond assumptions. And Jamal, he never changed who he was. He didn't become louder. He didn't seek attention. He simply continued being himself. Quiet, kind, brilliant. And in doing so, he changed an entire classroom. Maybe even more. Because sometimes, the person the world overlooks is the one who sees the world most clearly. Sometimes, the smallest act of understanding can reveal the greatest hidden strength. Share this story if it touched your heart.